Okay, so now technically it's live on YouTube, so they'll be able to hear us talking back and forth now. No big deal, but just letting you know. We are still in our live stream start in, guys, but if you're want to get a jump on some questions, you can go ahead and post in the comments now, and we can try to go ahead and populate that chat section there with some comments before we even get started. So still about 12 minutes remaining, so just hang in there, guys. And like I said too, aside from just comments and questions, feel free to ask anything about me personally, or even about Bongonzo. I'll get that right.
Bongonzo.
There we go. Straight from the mouth of the man himself. There we go. Also, would make mention too, before we even get started, which it's sort of customary with every stream, but sometimes there's a lot of questions that's flying through here, guys. So if you want to ensure that your question will get answered, like guaranteed to get answered, use the super chat, any amount from $1 all the way up to, you know, $1 million, if you're really generous. Go ahead and type in your question with the super chat, because I see some people are putting their super chats in, but they're not typing a question with it. And if you don't type a question with it, I still won't see it. I'll just see your super chat. So make sure that whenever you're donating through the super chat that you actually type the question in the box as well. That will bump that entire question right up to the top where I can see that, and me or Bongonzo himself can answer for you. But that will ensure that your question will be guaranteed to get answered. So, all right, we're just gonna hang out for another 12 minutes and wait for some folks to get on here. We might start it a little early. I don't think I've ever done that, but I might just go all out and be a crazy man today.
Doom, doom. Yeah, I got my first super chat about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was only $2, so he just kind of said like, hey, love what you're doing. Keep up the great work.
That's awesome. You know, and I always encourage people, regardless of what amount that they give, it's appreciated. I mean, in this day and age, especially right now, when everybody's going through what they're going through, I mean, when somebody donates any amount, that's super awesome in my book, so.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not necessarily like asking for super chats, and there's nothing wrong with asking, I guess, because I mean you're giving so much content. You're give.
Right.
So it's okay to ask for every once in a while. But it does mean what, especially when you can kind of it's almost like putting your impact or your value in like a set like amount, like. Just kind of nice to see other people like appreciate you, I guess.
Exactly. That's the big thing for me. I love it whenever someone donates to the super chat, just for that simple. I mean, it makes me feel like whatever I'm doing is worthwhile, at least to that person.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, that's what this is all about, is trying to, you know, create as much value for people as I can. And then when you get those folks that come back and say thank you in that way, I mean, that makes your whole day. So
100%.
All right, so as of right now, by looking at my stats, we have 3 concurrent viewers as of right now. I do know that will change, and also I know that YouTube is not always correct. Some people actually log in under different means, and then you don't get to see that. Okay, so now we've got 4 on board. Okay, guys, so if we go to those of you that are tuned in, if we get to like 5 viewers, I'm just going to go ahead and start it up. That way we can start getting the ball rolling, because I actually have interview style questions I'd like to ask him before we get started, so you guys can get to know him better, and then we'll just jump into that. So real quickly too, in the chat section, if you're here, could you just do us a huge favor and let us know that you can actually hear what I'm saying? And nice. Okay.
He's one of mine.
Nice. Welcome, man. Welcome. Good to have you.
I think this first one on your questions list is going to surprise you a bit.
Okay.
Well, it's at least it's very thorough and interesting question.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. So, Clicks Piffy, if you don't mind, could you go ahead and let me know that you can actually hear us right now? I appreciate you jumping in and commenting already. That's awesome. Good deal. Good deal. All right, so we have actually reached, at least according to YouTube, I don't know how accurate it is, but we have actually reached our 5 concurrent viewers. So I'm just going to go ahead and, I've never done this before, but I'm going to go ahead and start this up a little sooner. People always have the option to come back and watch these later anyway. So, all right, guys. So as the title suggested, we're going to be talking about, in this episode of the Home Studio Simplified Live, we're going to be talking about beat making with Bongonzo. He's a 16-year-old who has an awesome channel. He's got a lot of great comment up there. The thing that drew me to him was that he's predominantly using Cakewalk. So that's super cool. As someone like myself who's been using this for over 20 plus years, I always love to see other people's approaches to that, and I love to remain teachable. And to me, one of the best things that you can do is learn. You always have to be learning. If you quit learning, you grow stagnant and you die, honestly, in your creativity. So let's go ahead and move on now to a few announcements before we get into this interview style process. So if you're here and this is your first time here, awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by. This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and to help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. We all have dreams. We all have the ability to create, and together we all can achieve those dreams and creativity together. So I always have to do this. I love this. This is one of my favorite parts. This is the HSS chart toppers this week. Huge shout out to Zave Ryan, who has secured his slot at the top of the charts with a Patreon donation as well as a $10 super chat donation. James Sheets, you're still up at the top with $10. And Mark Bergstaller, he's donated $10. So now we have no number one slot. Everybody's pretty much on an even kill. Zave Ryan could probably argue that, considering that he has actually signed up for a Patreon as well for $1 a month. Thank you so much for that, Zave. And then, as by way of announcements again, we are doing a quarantined song challenge right now. So basically, my way to help break up the monotony of everything that's going on right now, and to help keep everyone creative. You know, one of the best ways to get better at your craft is just to create. And so during this quarantine song challenge, you'll find a link in the description of this video to upload your portion of that song into that video straight there. And then I will showcase that on the channel. We'll have a vote, and whoever song gets picked as like the main song, I will personally mix and master that song for the free. And then I will do a follow-up video where I show you what I did to get it to that point. And I think that'll provide a lot of value for everybody as well. All right, so we're going to jump straight into this interview with Bongonzo. Let's head on over to the webcam. All right, welcome Bongonzo. Nice to have you here, man.
Yep, 100%. Good to see you.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask you few sort of like interview style questions before we get into the meat of the matter here and you start actually explaining your process. But my first question for you is, what actually got you into music?
Okay. Do you want a thorough answer or a brief answer? Because, okay, so I guess it all started when I was 5 years old. I started learning piano. My mom was actually my teacher. I started piano. Our entire family is very musical. and I started piano when I was 5. I learned quite a few other instruments throughout that time. When I was in 4th grade, I started playing bass guitar. When I was in 5th grade, I played trombone and electric guitar. And even then at 6th grade, I started French horn. So I've been playing a lot of instruments throughout my life, but I didn't start making beats until 8th grade. So I've only been making beats for around 2 or 3 years or so like that. I can't quite remember, but yeah.
Wow.
I guess throughout that time, and then but throughout that time, I think the thing that really kept me back to music, because like you can learn an instrument and you can just kind of like, I guess you can kind of just like go with it and you don't really think about it or apply it to your life or anything like that. But I've been playing bass guitar and electric guitar and piano and even some percussion stuff at church right about or so for the past 5 or 6 years. I'm very diligent in that kind of stuff. I mean, we can't really play anything right now during quarantine stuff, but yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. So, guys, if you don't know this, I don't think he mentioned his age, but he's only 16 years old. That's what blew me away too.
Yep.
So he's not
16.
only he's very active, and of course at that age we all were. I'm 38 myself, so my activity level has kind of dropped and diminished a little. But much like him, you know, I have sort of a similar backstory, not quite like that, but that's awesome to know that he comes from a background as a musician as well, which totally helps when you start developing music of your own, because once you can develop an ear for music, that's where that creativity really starts to take root. So the next question I have for you then is, do you actually feel an emotional connection with the material that you work on? Like,
so that's a kind of interesting question. I think I'm not sitting here and I'm like crying over my beats or anything like that. It's not something like crazy emotional or something like that. But it is important to add emotion to your beats, and I do feel emotion. Like my adrenaline will pump around in it while I'm making my beats. I always finish my beats whenever I'm done like mixing or something like that. I'll just be dancing around my room in the background, like by my door over there, and I'll just be dancing around the room. It's good to interact with your beat in that kind of way. So putting emotion in your beat and feeling a kind of like hype emotion, I guess you could say, that's what I mostly feel. It's nothing too melancholy or sad or something like that, but yeah.
That's a good answer too. And actually, one of the individuals that I just had on, he actually runs the Working Class Audio podcast, and he's talked to thousands and thousands of world-class engineers. And one of the things that, when I asked him this question, one of the things that he said is, you know, you can kind of develop this point when you get in mixing, where if you kind of start to do this and you're getting into the music, then you can kind of start going, hey, this is a good mix because I'm getting emotionally connected with it. So like from what you're saying, if you're dancing around in the room, you know, and stuff like that, you're emotionally connecting with that. So that's very cool. Timothy Reynolds says, what church online services, ?
So yeah, all services are online right now, obviously. So I'm not necessarily playing any instruments during these services, but before that I was playing. I'm actually a Christian Reformed church. I'm in Central Time Zone, so I'm not sure if any of you recognize or anything, but yeah.
Awesome. And for those of you that didn't know as well, because I don't think I've mentioned it in other videos, but maybe not here recently, I actually play lead guitar for our church. So that's very cool that we're both, I didn't even know that about you. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
And that's also too, I'll go out on a limb and say this. Some of the best musicians that I've ever heard are worship leaders. And my personal favorite is Black Gospel. Them guys can tear it up. And
yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I don't want to digress on that too much. I'll get so what was as you're developing this system, you're developing your musical tastes and things like that, you were sitting down at your desk one day, let's just hypothetically speaking, you're sitting down at your desk one day, you're making a beat, and what was that defining, like a Eureka moment where you're like, wow, I just learned this?
Yeah, I'd say like kind of like, I guess my Eureka moment, or like the kind of the moment where I transitioned from it's sort of fun to make beats to I'm going to go full-time hardcore, I'm going to go full in on this. That was around close to 1,000 subscribers when I was on my YouTube channel, and at that point I was you're kind of like iffy. You're just still committed into it. You've already invested this much time into it. But that was the time when things just started clicking. Beats are coming together faster. Instead of making like one beat a day or so, I started going to 2 beats, 3 beats, 4 beats, 5 beats. I'm sitting now at an average of 5 or 6 beats per day, which is, I mean, it's quite a bit. It's just work ethic, time, repetitions, and all that kind of stuff. I was actually looking back into my calendar just a couple weeks ago, and I saw that on January 1, one of my New Year's resolution goals was to make at least 5 beats per week. And that's kind of how slow I was at the time. Now I'm making 5 beats per day, and it's just kind of crazy.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Very cool answer, by the way. And also for those of you who have not discovered his channel yet, I do have a link in the description of this video where you can go straight to his channel and check his content out too. So what one piece of advice would you give to new beat makers, audio engineers, and musicians in general who are just starting out?
Just starting out, I'd say if you're absolutely just starting out and it's just like the first couple months or even close to a year or so, I'd say don't be too I'm not gonna say don't be too emotionally attached, because you should be emotionally attached, but like don't think of every single beat as precious. Like sometimes when you're just starting, you want to spend like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 weeks on every single song, and you're just trying to make every single thing perfect, and then you get disappointed when it doesn't sound as perfect as you'd like. So I kind of just say, like, do your best, work hard on that one beat, but if it's not going to sound perfect, just remember that what you're doing at the beginning is only stepping stones to where you're eventually going to be. So the ability to do repetitions, just repetition will make it so that in 2 years time, you're making very, very impressive beats. And since you've had all the time, you've already experienced what it's like to mix every beat. You already experienced what it's like to put drums on every beat, that kind of thing. If you're spending too much time on every single beat, you just don't have the experience.
Awesome perspective. One thing I would say about that too is, much to what you you pretty much nailed it, but sometimes we can get paralysis from having too much focus on minutia, like the little things. This hi-hat's a little too loud, or this is, and we get kind of carted away into like this rabbit hole of trying to figure out, and especially when you're first starting your first beats or your first mixes or whatever it is that you're doing, they're not going to sound like what you hear on the radio. They're not going to sound like what you want them to sound like. But, and I've said it 1,000 times on my channel, and it's honestly, it's probably shooting myself in the foot, but you can watch 100 tutorials. You can watch 1,000,000 different videos on how to get that kick drum to sound really fat. But until you actually do the work yourself, that is what's going to get you better than anything. A large body of work done in succinction and done, that's where you learn your mistakes, and that's where you learn your strengths and your weaknesses. So very good point, by the way. So what one piece of gear is it that you have currently that you could not do without?
Okay. So I've only been making beats for 2.5 to 3 years. So I'm not in a crazy $1 million studio or anything. I got my computer. I have my MIDI keyboard, which is a keyboard you use to play virtual instruments. But I'd say my main gear is my speakers. So like I don't have any treatment in my room at all. Like nothing's treated. It's a pretty echoey room, in fact. But the ability to play your music, kind of dance around, you don't feel so like tied down with these headphones. Even if I was to get wireless headphones, I don't think it wouldn't feel the same as a pair of speakers like this. That's what I'd say.
Okay. Good answer.
And that also attributes to the fact that I dance around my room when I'm listening to my beats and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's just, it all fits together.
So, one thing that you just said there that I want to touch on that, because I've got a lot of questions sometimes that come into me from various different avenues of, do you have to have a treated room? Do you have to have $1 million studio? That's what I love about the day and age in which we live, is the answer to both of those is no. And I just did a long drawn out explanation on a couple live streams ago about actually mixing predominantly in headphones, because I have a treated room. It's not like really well treated, but it does the job. but I predominantly mix on headphones all the time because I know these headphones. I know them well enough to know that they're going to produce an accurate sound. And, you know, when I put that out probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago that I was mixing predominantly on headphones, I caught a lot of flack from individuals. And ironically enough, there's a huge mix engineer who's got Grammys out the wazoo who got on one of the social media outlets and posted a video about how he only mixes on headphones. And I was like, boom, right there, guys.
Yeah.
So
actually, it's kind of been the opposite for me. I've heard so many times that it's better to mix in headphones than in a semi-treated room with speakers. I feel like I've heard that more, but I don't know. Yeah, I'd say speakers for me, like these aren't treated. These aren't amazing speakers. My room isn't treated, but if you can kind of hear what your beat should sound like compared to like professional beats and stuff like that, like comparing your beats on other headphones also possibly helps. Just, I mean, do what you can and just have fun doing it. That's what I say.
Exactly. If it sounds good, it is good. And Warren Hewitt says that all the time. If it sounds good, it is good. Another aspect of that you just mentioned too that I want to touch on real quickly is if you don't have a treated room, if you don't have a good set of headphones, the best thing that you can do is bring in reference mixes. That way you're hearing a reference mix in the same space that you're in, so you can kind of judge it by that. And then I would also go ahead and even a step farther, download some free plugins like Span is an awesome free plugin. I will, not this video, but one of my podcast episodes, it's called Developing a Mix System. I actually talked about Span, and there's a link to it in that podcast episode. It's Voxenjo Span. You can find it for free. But basically what it is it's a visual representation of your mix across the frequency spectrum. You get to see what your mix is doing across the frequency spectrum, and you can literally set it up to where that reference mix is playing behind what you're seeing here. So you can see where your mix is lacking and where it needs boosted or cut, depending on what the reference material looks like. That will help you a ton if you're mixing in a room that does not have any kind of, or you don't have a good set of headphones. So looks like Clicks Piffy, hope I'm saying that right, buddy. He says, when I started making beats on Cakewalk, I found you, I'm assuming he's talking about Bongonzo, giving me tips. And because of that, I've learned so much. So his question for you is, did you have anyone like that when you started out, or did you learn mostly yourself?
In actual person, I actually don't really know anyone who makes beats like in real life. I think there is a friend at my church who plays drums, but I think he makes beats. But other than that, I think I mostly learned from tutorials on YouTube. Kind of, I guess, like very basic tutorials. Like a tutorial will usually only teach you one little thing. It's not going to teach you the overall process of making beats. I think I got most of my inspiration from this YouTube channel, Kyle Beats. He's pretty good. He's very good. He has somewhere around 300 something thousand subscribers. But yeah, that's who I got most of my inspiration from, or my I guess my ideas or tutorials from. But yeah, I'd say like just repetition, trying it out yourself, because you can always watch a tutorial, but it doesn't give you the same results as actually trying it yourself or practicing.
Awesome. So Clicks Biffy, I hope that answered your question. If I could answer that from my point of view, for those who are, I know Tim is a regular. I've seen some other names. Dave is here. He's a regular. So for you guys who tune into me regularly, I did not have anyone myself. At the point in time whenever I started, there was very few YouTube channels that were covering anything that had to do with Cakewalk. So I had to go through like Cakewalk University, some Cake TV episodes, but really it was just a lot of setting down and literally like fiddling with knobs and finding stuff out, and it was grueling work. And that's what really inspired me to want to make this channel, because I realized, you know, I could have made a whole lot more if I didn't have to go through all of that technical aspect of things, and someone would have kind of just, you know, showed it to me. So
yeah, I originally started, when I first did my first beat, it was in GarageBand, and I used GarageBand for almost, I think it's about 2 years I used GarageBand. That's on Mac, obviously. But there were quite a few tutorials for GarageBand, and I kind of learned the basics of making music in GarageBand. But when I switched over to Cakewalk, I mean, there weren't very many tutorials of there aren't very many tutorials for Cakewalk, like just in general compared to other DAWs. But just like I don't know, since I already knew the basics of everything, I already kind of knew what to look for. So that's one thing I'd say. But yeah, not too many tutorials, more like inspiration and beats kind of things, listening to songs and how to make them.
So Timothy Reynolds says Duke Ellington is the one who coined the term, if it sounds good, it is good. And also, as he says, Warren Hewart uses that a lot. So, and Clicks Piffy says we have answered his question. So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, you've answered his question and I've answered alongside of
And
you.
Yeah.
So
expanded on it.
All right. So we haven't done this yet on this episode. I only have one more question for Bongonzo before we get into his, where he's going to kind of just explain a little bit more about his, like the back end of his beat making. But I just implemented this here on the channel not too long ago. And so we're going to go ahead and go straight to, real quickly, we are going to spin the wheel of awesomeness. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see here. All right, so basically the way that this works, we spin the wheel of awesomeness, whatever it lands on, we will go ahead and either you get a free product or we will put something in the chat. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Oh, the suspense is killing me. All right, trivia. All right, we got some trivia. So we're going to put a little bit of trivia in the chat section here real quick. If anyone would like to take a swing at answering it, then...
I wonder what... Could we answer it too? Could I answer?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and search for something that has to do with beat making. This could actually be rather interesting too.
See.
So while we're doing that, while I'm searching for that trivia question for you guys, Bongonzo, you want to go ahead and explain, like, what's the first thing you do when you sit down to make a new beat? Like, how do you get started on that?
So I use a template for almost everything. Like, I don't know if you do it, and I don't know if you encourage it, but like, it's just so much easier to have a template already set up, so you can just like get it going. I don't know if I should show my template right now. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. So that's what I usually start with. It's kind of just a general thing. Like, most people start with the melody first, and then they add the drums in. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking about, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Actually, that's really cool that you brought that up. One of my previous podcast episodes, again, I talked about using templates. And I am a big proponent. I constantly push on my channel to use templates, simply because if you can get from point A to point B faster, why would you not do that? I mean, you are not being any more creative by sitting down and for 30 minutes creating a new project and naming stuff and color coding things and putting in labels. That's just, it drains the creativity rather than helping you. So the best thing that you could do is just create a template. And if you already have some go-to plugins that you always use, you already kind of know like how many tracks you always use, just go ahead and slap it in there and use it. So yeah, that's a great tip.
100%. And also a quick note, if you're using a template, especially in Cakewalk, you can do this. Color code everything. Like, it's so much easier to make a beat when everything is color coded. I always have my melodies is blue, my 808 is purple, all of my percussions are green. It's a small thing, but it just makes a huge difference when you're making the beat. Just I wanted to add that in.
Nice. Okay, so here's the trivia question. What was the first commercially successful rap album? That is the trivia question. So what was the first commercially successful rap album? Or I should say albums, sorry, because it was about the same time. And they both pretty much blew the charts up. I'll post this question in the comment section real quick too, so that you guys can go back to it. No Googling.
So I was about to say, give me 2 minutes in a Google search and I'll find it.
Right. Okay, so you've sat down, you've brought up your template, you got you said you developed the melody first, was that correct?
Yep. Well, I developed the chords first and then the melody on top of that, if you know what I mean. It's all part of like the general melody term, but
okay, guys. We got that in the chat stream here real quick. Not trying to take away from what we're doing here or digress in any way, but just trying to keep it fun. Okay. Yeah, it went live. Okay. So my next question would be then, what is your go-to tool that you use in Cakewalk to make beats? I mean, do you just start from scratch with your MIDI controller, or do you actually use like the matrix view, or?
I have actually never used the matrix view. I opened it up one time and I've never used I think the matrix view has all like the squares and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've never actually used that. My MIDI controller, I have a 49 key MIDI controller that I every once in a while will use, but really everything is just click in. You can hit Alt 3 to open up the MIDI view of Cakewalk, and I just draw on all my melodies, just one note at a time. It comes pretty easy now that now I've had practice, experience, repetition, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's always. Mm-hmm.
So your beats are typically, how long, like, because I've made a few beats for clients. I'm not necessarily the greatest at it, but how long would you say is too long for a beat, or how short is too short, or does it matter?
I think it doesn't totally matter. I think that it is important to have it at least hit the drop 3 to 4 to 5 times. In my opinion, that's just what I usually do. My beats are usually around 2 minutes to 2 minutes 40. I know, like, if you go on the radio, sometimes you can find like a 3 or 3.5 minute song, but I don't know. Like, I feel like shorter trap beats are sort of becoming the new wave now, and I am perfectly fine with that. And I like them shorter, so I'll keep them at 240 or so.
That makes sense. Okay, so not too much repetition to belabor the beat, and not too short to cut them off from getting into it, basically.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty straightforward. So it looks like Zave answered the correct question in the chat, guys, or at least one of them. The Sugarhill Gang's Rapper's Delight was released in 1979, and Curtis Blow's The Breaks in 1980. Those were the first commercially successful rap albums. Congratulations, Zave. Knocked it out of the park, buddy.
There's no way I would have guessed that.
No. I put one up here the other night, and I believe it was Tim had the answer like immediately. I was like, how do you guys do that? So would you be able to, I don't know how you got Skype set up. I don't know if you'd be able to actually share your screen in order to show us like sort of a rough draft. Like, you don't have to create an entire beat like right here on the show, but if you could kind of just show us like a quick, maybe like X, Y, and Z to get from point A to point B. Awesome.
Can you see this well?
Yeah.
Can you see this well?
Yeah.
I think this should be able to, wait, I think I might have just closed out. Shoot. Oh no. There you go. Sorry. I accidentally turned off your voice. So assuming you can see this everything. So what I have here is my template. I have a couple of buses. I have like a melody bus, a drum bus, and stuff like that. If I'm starting, I'll usually open up a plugin called Complete Control.
Okay.
Assuming this works good on your screen. Oh shoot, audio driver not connected. It's because I'm plugging in weird headphones. And audio drivers. Actually, that's one thing. For some reason, Cakewalk has very crazy and complicated audio driver stuff. I don't remember GarageBand ever having problems.
We went through this, me and Adamental, when I interviewed him. He was trying to show me stuff, and I forget what we even did I think I went through MME instead of ISO in order to, I used MME drivers, I think, instead of ISO. But
okay, so if you can see what I have here is this is a plugin called Complete Control, and usually what I do is I open up a one shot, and these one shots are basically just melody tones. I mean, you can probably, assuming you can hear that.
yeah.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. So for example, like this one sounds pretty nice to me. It's called Promise-Bell. Then what I can do is I can hit all three on my keyboard, and I can just open up my MIDI view. Alt 3 and then just scroll that up. Computer is... So then you can just like double click wherever you want to know it to be. And then, like for example, like just like that, you already have a beginning of a melody going. How much would you like to show me? How much?
It's up to you, man. If you want to show like the entire process, that would be awesome. It's just whatever you got time for. I don't want to.
No, I have plenty of time. It's my computer is going to run a little slow as all of this stuff is going on. It always does when I'm shooting a video. So let's say if you just say we do something like that.
Okay.
I can't even hit spacebar. So that's a nice little melody. And then what I'll probably do is I'll just take that little section. I'll hit Control D on my keyboard, and then that actually copies it over. And then we'll just have this entire little like loop going through the entire time. And then why don't? And now let's add a little top melody to add a little bit of variation to this. So why don't we go like... And that was actually really fast. Let's see how that sounds. Just like that. That was pretty clean. And I'd actually... Oh shoot. Because keyboard shortcuts, for some reason when I have a problem with my CPU or whatever, the keyboard shortcuts are the first thing to go. Doesn't make sense. I'll just copy the notes over by hand. So that's a very general form of a first melody. I don't know how loud it is on your end, but it's pretty loud on my end. Then I'll use a transposing tool, and I transpose everything I do all around. Oh shoot! I think I just transposed it up by 66 semitones.
Can you use Control Z?
I just do. Yeah, I just did.
Right on.
And then like that's. That's pretty clean. That's pretty nice already. I'll probably speed up the beat of it. And goodness, 100,035. 135. There you go. Stop me if I ever get boring.
Oh no, you're good, man. You're good.
That's not bad. Let's add in. There's just so usually with trap beats, and this is probably very different than other types of beats, other types of songs, whether you have like country or stuff like that. A lot of things are very ambient and might have a lot of interesting like texture effects kind of in them. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a reverb to this sound. Just like that. And then I'm also going to add this plugin called Shaperbox 2. This is that round reverb is about $50. This one is about 150, I think. And I'm just going to add a plugin. I'm just add a preset called Halftime. There's another, and then we have something that sounds like this. already am hearing something great on this.
So real quick, Clicks Piffy
and you can
says,
always
real quick, Clicks Piffy says, where did you get your one shots? I always have a problem where I can't find sounds to make melodies.
Yeah. Well, if you go on YouTube especially, because everyone, there's a lot of YouTubers out there, and they want to find their way to stand out or whatever. If you type into YouTube, literally just like free melody one shots, you can usually find several kits on there. I picked up about 2 from there. I purchased one kit for around $25, I think. I don't remember what it was called, but most one shot kits are pretty nice. I haven't found a bad one so far because everyone wants to have the best of the best or whatever. Other than that, there's also like free plugins you can download. Because I guess one shots are a little bit harder to find than free plugins, and you've probably noticed that yourself, that free plugins are very easy to come by. I can also copy my sound over to this. Copy. You can hold control usually to copy, but is there a way to? I'm not sure.
Yeah, go up to edit.
Duplicate selected.
There you
go. Let's try that. And I'm liking that, and that's a free plugin that I have. It's called Iota Mini. Yeah, Iota Mini is a free plugin by Angelic Vibes. It's a pretty well-known company actually. And that's another thing. In my default like template that I always open up, I always have these I always have sounds that are ready to go that I know will sound right and they'll fit, and they always fit my vibe. Yeah. Transpose up by 160. I mean 66. So I'm gonna transpose this down a little bit. I like -4. And let's listen to that. Yeah, I'm liking that for sure. Why don't we add an 808 in? Yeah. So what I usually do is I do basically the same process with the 808s. In my default template, I have a 808 already set up so that I don't have to like choose a new one every single time. So why don't? And that's another thing. If you just go by ear, if you keep practicing your ear and develop your ear, you'll eventually just kind of like understand what the root notes of chords are and stuff like that. I have a question. How much music theory do you know? Like how much experience in like just music in general and musicality and stuff like that do you have and stuff like that?
So are you asking me or are you asking the commenters?
Yeah.
Myself?
I mean,
yeah.
I guess
okay.
I'm asking you comments too.
Okay. So literally I am a self-trained musician. So my music theory is very minimal apart from just having an ear for what sounds good together. I really would like to brush up more on it, but I also feel like, at least from my standpoint, and this isn't for everybody, so don't take this and run with it if you're tuning in here.
Yep.
If you can develop music theory, if you can find someone who can teach you, I would definitely do so. However, you can still make good music if you don't have music theory, if you have a good ear for music already. But the best way to develop music theory is to fall in love with music and find out what kind of music you like and what sounds good to you, because that will teach you a ton about that. But I personally do not have, I have very minimal amount of music theory knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. And I was kind of asking just simply because like, I don't think that music theory is crazy important. Like I've had music theory since I was 5. I started piano when I was 5 years old, and the way that it was being taught was very classical. So everything was very theory based and stuff like that. So I do happen to know a lot of music theory, but I don't like sit down and I think about like, okay, now I'm going to use the A flat harmonic minor scale and stuff like that. It's just like, it just comes and I practice and there it is. It just happens and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I'm in high school, and we've already said that I'm 16 years old and whatever. And this morning I was doing a band class, like online lesson, and it was about how to use the melodic and harmonic minor scales. And like technically I am using the harmonic minor scales when I'm making these beats, but I'm not like thinking about that while I'm making them.
Exactly.
and some people actually do think about that when they're making their beats and songs and stuff like that. But developing your ear is the key. Is more important than developing your music theory, I think, in my opinion. So like that, what I'm doing with this 808 is 808 is a bass instrument. I'm not sure how much you guys are familiar with trap and all that kind of stuff. But what I have here is I have my 808, but I'm pitching it way up an octave. So this is actually like D7. So it's like as high as it gets, really. What I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna extend all these notes out, so it's like so you're just playing a tone of the bass. I was actually gonna mention earlier, but in the background of your videos, I mean, in background of your live stream and stuff like that, guitar sitting in your head, and it is literally like identical to the bass guitar I play. But like when you're playing bass, like when you're playing bass guitar, or like I'm trying to give it more example, there's a place for do do do, but at least in trap music you usually have like a do do do, stuff like that. I don't know if that fits or if that's just weird. I'm making sounds in my mouth. But.
No, that's yeah.
I think that I might have actually not been on the right notes. I think it should be actually. That's it. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Nice.
So then what I have is now it's a high bass sound, but if we pitch it down to its normal octave, it sounds more like. Oops. So nice there. So now I'm just gonna minimize all of that stuff. And what I usually do is, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I will copy or just copy again. What I'll usually do is I'll actually just like play the bass, the kick drum right on top of the 808. So if we go into the kick drum area, so they'll be playing the same exact notes, except I always pitch my kick drum down to root C, since that is where your kick usually lines. I always go to the same. I almost always get to go to the same exact drum kit for my kick drum, which is kind of interesting. It doesn't really matter what that drum kit is, because you can always like. It's just like I've made so many beats that I know that this kick drum sounds good in almost every single one, and every once in a while I change it to like a different kick in the same kit. But I think the idea is like just the repetition. It not only gets your beats better, just from like what sounds right, but you know exactly where to go. You don't waste time in between, and there is room for experimentation, obviously. But I don't know what to say. Like you get practice and you understand what should really be going on. I think we have some questions down here in the comments.
Yeah, Clickspiffy says, how effective is transposing? And it cuts off at for constant. I'm not sure what he meant there, but
yeah, I how effective is it? Like, that's kind of a strange word to use for it, because the only reason I'm using transposing is because it gives me new ideas. I'm not using it to, there is a place for transposing things in order to make them fit better in the mix, but usually when I'm doing just the melody, I mix later, and when I'm doing the melody first, I'll transpose simply for the fact of getting new ideas and stuff like that. It's not necessarily for a new effect or anything like that. It's just for new ideas.
Awesome. Clickspiffy says he's sorry for asking so many questions. Buddy, that's what this is all about, man. I'm glad that you're 100%. Being engaged. So, and anybody who's watching in on this, please, that's what this is all about. Ask as many questions as you'd like.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna turn these melodies down quite a bit because I like to hear like the thump of the kick. I'll mix it better later, but yeah. And one thing that is kind of interesting is that when I first got Cakewalk for the first time, I was super hyped about if you hit Alt-2 on your keyboard, if you go into the console view, I was super hyped about this console view thing, but like I never use it, to be entirely honest. But what is kind of handy is that if you select multiple tracks, however you do that, you can take control, I think. Oh, my keyboard isn't working. Yeah, that's right. Well, if you go into the main normal view,
if you select where the number is
multiple
at.
tracks. Yeah, it's just that my keyboard is messing up a bit. So if I just select multiple tracks, and then I hold control on my keyboard, you can actually like move the volume of all of those tracks together at the same time, which is very handy for just getting a rough, like outline of where your beat should be. Like if you just want to turn down your melodies, just select them all, control to bring the volume down. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, just like that. So that's pretty nice for that section of the beat. We're gonna get a clap in now, and in my clap section, I actually have this, you know, like the two, not the 2 and the 4, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I always have the clap on the same exact beats. Well, that's for almost every single trap beat of all time, but I just have it default into my template. So if you listen to this, like. Pretty nice. Okay, so now what I usually do is I go into the hi-hats, and there's always like room for, like, everyone has different ideas of how you should do things and the order of things, but this is just what I go to first. What I'll usually do is I'll go into this little step sequencer that I have built into my template, and what I'll do is there's usually like a kind of sound in the background, like that's what the hi-hat track is typically in trap beats. So if I do something like this, you can play these 2 notes that are going to go t-t, but then I also can hit this little arrow on the side, left side, and you can actually change the velocity of both those notes. So instead of playing like that, just a it's gonna be a little more of a and at first I didn't think that was a part of at first I didn't really think that was going to be important to, you know, like hip hop beats and stuff like that, but I thought that was more for like rock and all that kind of stuff, like the more acoustic kind of genres,
right.
Where it's like live drums. But no, I mean, just experiment with things, and I experimented with this, and it sounds like so amazing in my opinion. It just changes the entire groove. I can actually kind of show you comparison, like before and after and stuff like that. It just changes the entire groove.
So Tim Reynolds wants to know, do you set up buses?
Yes, I do. I can go into that view area, console view. I have a melody bus, and I also have a drum bus. And I actually know, so actually on top of that, no, I have a reverb bus and a delay bus too. So all of my melodies are automatically routed like by my template to this melody bus, and I can have an EQ on it if I want to. I also have a sidechain compressor on that, but I also have, and also in that kind of sense, I have a drum bus. So I can add an EQ to that. I usually boost a little bit of highs, in case you're wondering. But I also have a reverb bus, so you can like just add a sends to the reverb bus, and you can just add a quick little reverb. And like someone could argue that having a specific reverb on each track is, I don't know, more like fine-tuned, and you can kind of fine-tune a reverb in that way better because you can change the decay on each track. But in my opinion, actually, like sending all of my reverbs to all of my things that need reverb just to one bus, it's just so much faster, so much more efficient. Do you find, this is a question to you, I guess, do you find that having your reverbs on one bus reverb kind of thing, is that more effective or better for the mix? Do you ever use reverb in that kind of sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the mixing.
In fact, I actually encourage everyone who tunes into my videos to set up buses if they have go-to plugins like reverb plugins, delay plugins, saturation plugins, or kind of like the go-tos, and to set up buses, simply because if you think about it, guys, if you've got 15 tracks and you're slapping a plugin, the same plugin, on all 15 tracks, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Whereas you could create one bus and then just create a send from each of those tracks to that one plugin. You're saving yourself a ton of CPU usage, and you're getting a lot more cohesion because you're going to use the exact same setting. So it's going to sound as if it's recorded in the same room.
Yeah.
Matthew Sedowicz. I'm horrible with names, guys. Sorry. He says, I'm learning a lot right now. Really been diving in and learning Cakewalk this week. I can't wait to kill this beat when it's done. Sounds fire.
Yeah, dude, if you want to email me, bongonzoyt@gmail.com. If you want to email me, I'll send you the beat when it's done, and you can do whatever you want to it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hey, actually, if you don't mind, could we go ahead and include a link to the beat whenever this is said and done, like in the description of the video? Like, could you send that to me, and then anyone who watched today could download it?
Yeah,
awesome.
100%.
Awesome.
I can finish that up tonight. No problem.
Cool. So yeah, come back later whenever this video is posted, and I'll have a link in the description so you guys can actually download that beat for yourselves and play around with it or rap over top of it. Camille Crawford
Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, Camille Crawford, she says, I'm sorry, I'm assuming that you are a she. Camille says, how would you change velocity for the melodic elements or from the piano roll? Yeah,
so I opened up the piano roll for this one of these main melody instruments. And what you can actually do is you can in the bottom left here, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, I'm pretty sure you can. There's like this little downwards arrow sign. If you click on that sign, you can actually click it twice, and then it opens up this bottom velocity window. You can also open that by hitting Alt-C on your keyboard. And then what you can do is if you just select your notes, you can automatically see all the velocity for every single note here. And it is good to tweak all this. In fact, typically 808s and kicks, it's best practice to boost them 100%. And that's actually, but actually I'm going to this one right here. It's kind of like boom, boom, kind of like that kind of thing, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so especially if you're doing like live kind of piano stuff, you'll get more velocity. You can get more intricate, like detailed kind of things like that. I see Mark George say, I only use the step sequencer for my drum machine VSDs when you can't send the drums to different channels. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but like, for example, like I have every single track separate for every single instrument sound. So I have a kick track, I have a hi-hat track, I have a clap track. I know that there are plugins that are like, they have the entire drum kit in one plugin. Like I think there's like Addictive Drums or whatever like that is. That's a pretty popular one, I believe. Mm-hmm. So in that case, like using the step sequencer might be helpful for, like, you can have like this one row is for only kicks, this one row is for only snares. I never use it for that sense. I never have used it for that sense. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's a way to send them individually, so you can have a different track for each. Like, just experiment with that maybe. I guess I'm not really into. I'm just not experiencing that kind of thing, like stretching out the tracks and stuff like that. Camille Crawford is a man.
Sorry, Camille. Oh man.
So for example, I'm going to show the difference between the velocity and no velocity. So this is what it sounds like if there is. Oh wait, I haven't selected Hyatt yet. So I'll go into this Hyatt track, and I use this plugin called Complete Control. It's a free plugin, a part of the Complete Start bundle from Native Instruments. So if you're into this kind of genre or the style, that's a good thing to check out. I'm just gonna choose this Hyatt. Sounds like this. Let's try this. So that's what it sounds like if there's absolutely no velocity change. That's what it sounds like if there's no velocity change. But if we double click on it and then we just change this one so it's a little bit lower, now it sounds like this. Back to the original. I also want to mention real quick, what I did here was if we I have one step sequencer window that's like 1 beat long. It's only just a quarter note longer. Yeah, a quarter note long. And then what I did was I copied that same quarter note over and over and over. And the way that step sequencer works is that it always like copies the same data over and over and over. So if you tweak one, it tweaks all of the others with it. So you could make it so that each of these you could make it so that it's all like an 8 long sequence, and you can just turn this beats up to 8 and just like you have to click every single note in. But this way it just keeps it all a little bit more simple and just copy and pasting around because it always tweaks for itself.
Awesome. Great questions, guys.
Okay,
Keep up
the chat.
Keep up the good work on the questions, man. That's awesome. You guys are asking some good questions here. By the way, if you have not supported this stream as of yet, I would encourage you to use a super chat of any amount. Anyone who donates through the super chat will get their question answered, guaranteed to get it answered, which we've hit all of them anyway. So you're not forced to do so. But you'll also get a freebie from me. I always give away a freebie to anyone who does a super chat of any amount from $1 all the way up. And then we'll put you on the HSS chart toppers as a giver. So would greatly appreciate that, as these things do consume time. So.
Yep, 100%. And okay, I saw that Camille said, I think velocity is super interesting for Hyatt rolls, 100%. Especially like Hyatt rolls you mentioned. You know, you have like you have stuff like that. Like, it sounds bad if you're using your mouth for it, but yeah, velocity for those especially is great, 100%. And I don't really know anyone who doesn't do that. It's just such a great effect. Okay, so now what I did was I actually copied this kick track, like all of the notes for the kick, and I copied it down to my open hat, because in my opinion, I found just by experience, just by practice, that the kick, 808, and the hi-hat together, open hi-hat, open hat, kick, and 808, when they hit together, especially if there's some clipping on the master, just like boom, boom, hits so much harder. So I just chose a random hi-hat. We'll probably tweak it later, but let's listen to this. Turn that down. Okay. So I like that hi-hat choice. But now I just want to get rid of some of these notes. So I just go into here now. You can right click on a note and delete it. So why don't we go, I don't know, take it out. You just don't want to hit it so many times. I don't even turn that down. Hey! Look at the chat, boys.
Nice. Marcity 101, $5 super chat. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. We get to spin the wheel of awesomeness. We're going to digress for just but a moment. Let's go to the wheel of awesomeness. All right. What will pop up on the wheel of awesomeness now? And hey, we got a favorite. Good deal. All right, so in the chat, guys, what is your favorite plugin? What plugin is considered to be like your all-time favorite that you use all the time? Got it on every single mix. Let us know in the comment section.
If I'd say anything, it'd be my Complete Control plugin. I showed that for the one-shots and the melody. I did that for all of the drums. I literally can't do a single beat without it. And everyone, it's just a sampler in general.
For me, I would have to say the Drummer S73 compressor. I believe that is put out by Softtube. It is an amazing, it's called an intelligent compressor. There's so many things you can do with that, and it just brings a track to life.
Yeah. Okay. Recently, it's actually, the sale is off now, but because it was just a temporary sale, but Ozone 9 Elements was free if you bought it through Sweetwater. And Sweetwater's a pretty well-known company. I'm sure you've heard of it. But yeah, that's a go-to plugin for imaging and EQ for me. We're talking about like effect kind of things.
Mark George says he loved the jingle. Nice, man. I did that just for you. He suggested last time that the Wheel of Awesomeness should have some 80s game show. A little bit of trivia behind that. If you can name what 80s game show that is, I'll send you a freebie as well. And from what I understand too, most individuals who follow Bongonzo's channel are younger. So this is kind of slided towards the older individuals. I apologize. I'm sure you can Google it.
It's fine.
Well, you can't really Google a sound, so maybe, I don't know. What's that app that lets you listen to a song and then tells you what it is?
Shazam.
Yeah, there
Shazam.
we go. Shazam.
You have to like rewind in the live stream and
that might be too much work. All right. Family Feud is not the answer. Nice guess though.
Everyone knows that one though. Da-dun-dun,
Yeah.
da-dun-dun.
We are getting so sidetracked with the jingle now that we forgot what the question. So the favorite was for all of us. I know me and Bongonzo both answered, but what is your favorite go-to plugin that you use? I just asked this recently for those of you who were here before. We all have more than one favorite though, just admit it. So
yeah. This Realm reverb, I think I showed it before. During the Christmas time, so during like it was like a sale for like December 15 to December 31 of last year. Native Instruments was getting this plugin away for free, and I picked it up then, and it's just a killer reverb. It sounds kind of artificial, I guess you could say, but it sounds like artificially pure. It sounds absolutely perfect, which is a good effect for trap beats. You could argue that there's something more like organic or something like that for other styles, but yeah, I love it.
And somehow that actually makes sense. I know exactly what you mean by artificially pure. As a guitarist, I love guitar pedals. Who doesn't? And a lot of the digital reverbs that are found in guitar pedals can sound very artificially pure. I know what you mean. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. I catch what you're saying there.
Yeah, I have a very small guitar pedal rack or whatever. I only have a couple plugins on it. I just called pedals plugins.
Hey, actually, I have been mixing through pedals here lately. It's super cool. You can take a mix and sort of like you would reamping a guitar amp, you would take it through the pedal first and then back into the system, and you can put like crazy effects on stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So by the way, I know he was just mentioning a really cool plugin, guys. If you have a Focusrite, what am I trying to say? Focusrite interface. Sorry. If you own one, you need to know about the plugin collective. So every single month, Focusrite owners can go to the Focusrite plugin collective, which I've included a link in the chat right now. You can go and they either have a free plugin that is like absolutely dope, or you can also get usually like 80% off of a really good plugin or something like that. So definitely go and check that out. If you own a Focusrite, I mean, it's free plugins that you're just kind of letting set there.
How good are those plugins?
Amazing.
Like, are they just
amazing? That's actually where I got my Drummer S73 was from there. I've got the Expand Air 1 Expand synth.
Okay. I have that one. I bought it, but it's a good one.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff there that you can go and check out. So
yeah, I'm thinking about getting a audio interface, and of course, Focusrite is one of the most well-known ones.
For sure, definitely. Like right now, they're giving away the Bass Room Mastering EQ for free from Mastering the Mix.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's supposed to be super cool. Their previous one they gave away was, you just got to go check it out. There's a ton of them. Eventide, Isotope. I got my Eventide, one of my favorite reverbs came from this, the Eventide Stereo Room reverb. Absolutely amazing. Sugar Bites, Z-Plane, on and on it goes. Positive Grid, Sound Radix, So definitely go and check
That's
that out.
awesome.
It's a great resource for you guys.
Yeah, and is that for any Focusrite product?
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you own a Focusrite product, or I'm sorry, it is just for interfaces, I believe. But you might try it anyway. I think if you register a Focusrite product is what gets you in the door, sort of, so to speak, on the back door of that, where you can go in and all you got to have is like your serial number and your Focusrite product type, whatever it is. I could probably check that out real quick while you're, just to make sure. But and also, if you go to my website, homestudiosimplified.com, over on the right hand side, I have a link to, well, several links to free plugins. I love free, and I use a ton of free and stock plugins in all of my mixes, masters, my own personal work. Not only because I'm Scottish and I'm a cheapskate, but
I'm Dutch.
but they also just sound great. I mean, and if it's free and it sounds great, you know, why not? So
Yeah. Timothy Reynolds asked, do you ever use your band playing skills in your beats? You know, I've made 2 or 3 songs actually, like playing my electric guitar in the song, and it was interesting, it was unique, it was a good experience. I don't necessarily do it all the time, but I enjoyed doing it. They were fun to do, and they sounded nice, I thought. Actually, there's actually one song that was really, really fire. I actually just pulled up my microphone right here, and I took out my French horn, and I just went, and it was crazy fire. I add some distortion and reverb to it. It was awesome.
By the way, we're going to release a sample pack of Bongonzo's sound effects shortly after this comes out.
It's good. It's good.
He's killing the sound effects, guys. All right. Looks like Zave Ryan says Event Inspector is an easy way to edit velocity, etc. in the PRV. Yeah, that's very true.
I've heard of it. Yeah. Let's see. It's like somewhere in here. I don't exactly remember, but I've opened it a couple times.
Yeah,
you can inspect things, but I don't think you can change things, can you?
I'm pretty sure you can. Actually don't. There's a shortcut for it, but I can't remember what it is.
Never really used it. It probably doesn't matter right now. I'll look into that though. I'll keep that. Vent in spec.
Yeah, guys. So after looking at the website a little bit closer, it says that all you need to do is just have a Focusrite product. So even if you own a microphone or even one of their plug-in packs or something like that, all you have to do is just register that you actually own something from them, and then you can get a free account with the plugin collective. Like I said, every month they're giving away something free. Super awesome plugin. These are not like, I mean, these are high dollar plugins they're giving away. So great resource for you guys.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. That's awesome.
Uh-oh. Clickspiffy or Clickspiffy says Bongonzo sound effects type beat.
Okay, yeah. I've had a couple people actually like just make jokes about this, and they said I should make an entire beat, like just like singing and everything, like singing my melody in and do my 808s and stuff like that. I think it would be hassle to keep everything in key, like pitch correct everything, but.
So Zave says right click on the top bar and choose modules. You can then pick whatever you want displayed on the control bar. Oh, okay, Zave. I see what you're talking about, the event inspector that's up top. Okay. I got you.
Oh, up here. Oh, okay. Yeah, modules. Okay.
See, this is what I love about these streams, guys. You guys end up, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I learned so much from you guys, just as much as I'm trying to help you. You're helping me.
Oh, okay. Event inspector.
Awesome.
Okay. What exactly does it do up here? See it right up here of time, duration, pitch.
I think that's what he was talking about, where you can actually set your velocities and pitch from there.
Huh. I'll look into that.
I don't know. It might
Thank you for that.
Might be a cool little shortcut. Zave, the man, he's on it, son. All right. So do you think this beat is at a point now where you feel like it's ready to be mixed and sent out to the world, or?
Definitely not. I don't know. I don't know if you want to. I don't know how long you want me to do this for. But I would definitely add these percussions in. I would arrange the entire beat. I have to definitely mix the entire beat, a general mix. If I was gonna send it to someone, I guess like you, who like will professionally mix it, which I've actually never sent to a professional mixer, any of my beats to a professional mixer. But I don't know. Do you like it when someone gives you like a rough mix on their end?
Yeah. So what I usually like is, so especially with Cakewalk projects, you can actually export what's called a Cakewalk bundle. That Cakewalk bundle will come up as a .cwb file. When you export it in that way, basically whatever you see on your screen when you export that is exactly what I will see whenever I open up the project, which is super cool. I mean, minus, you know, the plugins that you might have that I don't, but
Yeah,
which is usually
yeah.
no big deal. But what I generally speaking, like, and this is actually really good, I want to broadcast this out there for everybody that's listening. If you are sending your mix off to a professional mix engineer, myself or anyone else would say, I can speak for the entire engineering community, that the best thing that you can do to get a best foot forward and to make your engineer's job a lot easier, because they deal with questions all day long, and can you raise this a dB or that a dB, be as specific as possible. And also, along with the stems or just the individually broke out wave files, along with that you're sending, also send like a rough mix to give them an idea of what you're kind of hearing in your head. Because sometimes I've had individuals that will send me something and I didn't realize that they wanted, you know, the star instrument to be the guitar. So I was more going after the kick drum. And then they would be like, no, that kick's too loud. And instead of going back and forth 15 times, if they would have sent me just a rough draft, and I would have said, oh, okay, they want the guitar a little louder in this mix. So yeah, definitely like a rough mix. And then obviously if you're going to export tracks and send them to a mix engineer, you don't want to have any limiters on the bus. You want them to be completely clean tracks, 24-bit, 44.1 if possible, 16-bit if is okay, but with 24-bit you get more headroom. So preferably 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz sampling rates. That's like industry standard. And then that will just fly into any DAW, whether it be Pro Tools or Studio One, and they can work on it from scratch and take your idea. So good question, by the way.
Yeah, and I had a collaboration between me and this other he's actually a Cakewalk YouTuber, but he only has like 400, 500 subscribers. I was just doing a collab just like through Discord, and we were just talking about our beat. And we were actually gonna do like a rock song / trap beat. It was kind of a weird fusion between the two genres. The song turned out actually pretty good, but it took several months more than it should have, simply because I was the one who was mixing the entire song, and he was just trying to tell me what he wanted, and just bad communication. So it just took way longer than possible. And especially I can see like if you're like a actual engineer and you're mixing for multiple clients and have a time frame for everything, like you can't just go for months on one song, and bad communication, like that's just not practical.
Yeah, definitely. Some songs have actually stretched out for months. In fact, I just had a client of mine, a young lady came into the studio, and Camille Crawford says, shout him out. The individual who helped you with the smaller channel.
Oh yeah, ADK Studios.
Awesome.
ADK.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So everybody, if you're listening, go over there and give that guy a subscribe. He needs it. And really, you know, and that the thing about this community is too, when it deals with especially Cakewalk, they're not going to have a lot of subscribers right now because the Mac version has not released yet. Once that happens, it's going to blow up more than it already has. But you don't have to have a lot of subscribers to have good impact and to make a change and a difference in your world. You can just, if you're only affecting one or two people or helping one or two people, you're doing vastly better than what some of the huge YouTubers are doing that don't even answer any of their questions. They won't come in contact with you. They, you know, just by the fact that, you know, you're following up with people is awesome sometimes. So I have a sort of a proposal for you then, and that would be that when you get this mix completely like you want it, I would go ahead and my proposal would be, would you mix it to your standards and say, okay, this is what I think it should sound like. Send me a Cakewalk bundle file and the finished mix, like I was just talking about, sort of a reference track, and then I will mix it for free. And then maybe you could showcase that on your channel and do like a reaction or something, or we could go do another one of these and kind of compare them back and forth, so that those of you who are watching and who will be watching in the future can actually see the benefits of handing your work off to another individual. Because sometimes, just to be honest, yes, you can do it. And that's, my channel is here to try to teach you to do that, to mix it yourself. But sometimes it's even more beneficial to hand it off to someone else who, with a fresh set of ears, who isn't emotionally attached to the song sometimes, or, you know, when you've listened to the same song sometimes 12, 13 hours, you start to lose focus of what it even needs to sound like anymore. Now you're just, you know, the kick's not loud enough. This is fighting this, and that's, so that might be a cool little follow-up vid for those of you who are watching, just to kind of see, not saying that, and I would like to preface this too by not saying that I feel like I'm better at mixing than Bongonzo. It would just be another take on it. And 9 times out of 10, that's what I always...
I would assume you are. I would assume you are.
No. One thing that I would say is, you could put 17 mix engineers in a room, give them all the same track. You're going to get a fire song. It's just going to have a different, because everyone has their own tastes stylistically. Which, back to the story of the young lady who came in here and it drug on for over 3 or 4 months. She kept coming back saying, my vocals don't sound good. I've got a lisp. I've got this. And I had to break it to her and said, well, honey, you have a lisp, and I can't, you know, unrecord that. And I can't take that out with any amount of plugins, but it doesn't sound bad. It's you know, just roll with it. And unbeknownst to me, I was actually talking to her dad, which is fine. I had no problem with that. But then, he said, which I thought it was her, he said, will you just send me the song? I'd like to try and do it myself, which was kind of like a slap in the face to me, because here I've worked on this for 3 months, and I charged her a very minimal amount just to help her out. I mean, very minimal amount. And so I felt like I'm doing her a favor anyway. At this point, I'm 3 months into it, which is longer than I normally spend on anything. And the dad, which I thought was her yet again, kicks it back and says, well, we're not going to do this project. I already had other instrumentalists that had come in and played guitar and drums. I had all of this already lined up, individuals that were excited about it. And when I said, well, I can send you what I've recorded because that's what she paid for, but I'm not sending you the production elements, the guitar that I recorded, the bass that I had someone else play for, I'm not sending you that. Blew up, got mad, started threatening with lawyers, and I'm like, whatever, you have no case in court. The point I'm getting at, guys, is if they would have been upfront and honest from the very beginning, like, this is what I want my voice to sound like, all of that probably could have been averted. So
yeah, very true, very true.
I got on my soapbox there for a minute. Sorry, guys.
It's all good. Okay,
all right, so guys, what do you think? I mean, I don't want to hold Bongonzo hostage here on my channel all day long. Do you think that he should continue on? Do you guys have some more questions with what he's done thus far? Or do you think we're at a good stopping point where maybe he can go ahead and try to get this in a finished production, and then later we can all follow up and listen to the finished product, and then we can get you a link too to where you can actually go and check it out too. That is still cool with you, right? I don't want to...
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I can finish it up tonight, send it on over. You can mix in your stuff like that, and should we, in the link of this description, should we link the version that I sent out, or should you mix it and then you put your version in the description?
Well, maybe what we'll do is
or put both.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just put both.
Well, he could try knitting.
Yeah,
are you talking about that guy?
Yeah, he it was a situation, I tell you. And the bad thing is the young lady was super talented, and I really was doing my dead level best to help her. But you know, you're gonna have that with anything. You can't make everybody happy 100% of the time, and there are times when you just got to cut your losses. even though that was 3 months of my life down the drain. I figured it would be better than struggling over this and possibly creating a bad client relationship. Just say, you know what, I'm not the mixer for you because stylistically I'm not providing you what you want. So, and that's, you're going to have times like that where you just got to say, sorry, it's not working. So Camille says, I would love for you to continue. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I just picked out another perk right here. I saw her comment, so I opened up the complete control. I use that for all my samplers. What I have here is I actually have a little tiny step sequencer window on every single one of these perks tracks, and that's just a part of my template. And what I'd usually do is I just tend to drag this little perk track around as if I was dragging an audio clip around. Like if you can actually go into complete control and you can actually just grab a sound and you can drag it like an audio file, and you can drag this audio file around. But then you end up getting the problem with if you want to change that sound out later, you can't actually like change it out or anything like that. So having just normal perks little clip right here, we can actually just yeah. So what I did here is that's just simple. Actually, I shouldn't use this word because it's a music theory word, whatever. But syncopation. Syncopation, just playing a note on the offbeat. It's just a little bit of syncopation, and we're not doing anything crazy or anything. Let's see what we have. Yeah. Right now I actually have headphones on, so it's gonna be a different mix than I usually do because I actually never wear these headphones at all. I actually wear these humongous chunky headphones if I'm gonna wear headphones at all. It's just that because those ones are wireless and it's just handy for. They're actually made for gaming, but whenever it's like early in the morning because I actually tend to wake up like crazy early, and I just don't want to wake up the family with speakers or anything like that. So I'll mix on those headphones if I'm in the morning. Otherwise, it's always in an untreated room with these speakers. So basically what I'm saying is that this mix right here is going to be slightly different than normal. But really it should be the same general idea. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So what do we have here is the second perk track that I dragged in. This little pattern right here, the da da. That's a super common, just a rhythm in all forms of hip hop and stuff like that. Just listen to how it sounds. And this is actually like quite simple for what I usually do. I usually spend quite a long time on the melody, but I kind of wanted to just kind of like push through it all. And it's not a bad melody at all right now, but so let's see. I know this. If you have any questions, okay. So here's one thing that I do, and I guess this is almost kind of a mixing question for you know, like I'm sure you know about gain staging.
Right.
Yeah, of course, gain staging. I don't really do much of things like there's like a certain like negative 18 dB or whatever that's like standard or optimal or something like that. What I tend to do is my form of gain staging is simply if I have this perk track and I want to turn it down a little bit, there's actually this little gain knob up in the top left of each track. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this gain knob is basically the same thing as you have down here, except turning this gain knob itself, like just down or up and down or whatever, it makes it so that this bottom track can be used for very small details later. Because like if you want to turn it down by like 30 dB or whatever, then every small movement is going to make a huge difference. But changing your thing up here and then doing fine-tuned tweaks up here is just better for a more, I guess, accurate mix. I mean, I guess, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
One thing that I would suggest on that too, because that's a great tip, guys, if you definitely want to take that into consideration, because one thing that I do is with any MIDI instrument or any samples, typically they're recorded at very hot levels anyway. So on all of my MIDI tracks, whenever I import a template where I'm like MIDI heavy, I automatically have the gain turned down -10 dBs, just like right out of the gate. And that way, like he said, that gives you that fine tune adjustment that you can use. And also it's not so hot that it's clipping your master bus.
Yeah. Actually, I believe on my default template that I always open up, I always have every perk down by -3. My kick drum is down by -7. My 808 is down by -5. So yeah, I do that on my default template too, just to, you know, instead of having to turn down everything, just what can you streamline?
Exactly. Speed. It's all about speed. Which, by the way, guys, just to kind of give you a best foot forward, I'm going to include a link in the chat here real quick, here momentarily, that will give you a download for here we go. So this will be a quick infographic that you can go and download and print it out or keep it on your desktop or something like that, and basically it's just like a really quick condensed checklist of how to get started and how to finish sort of on your best foot forward. It's called The Path to a Better Mix, so that should help you out. It's completely free for everybody who's watching today. Just go and download that. You don't even have to put in an email or nothing crazy like that either. I'm not going to snake your email for it.
I clicked on the link and I do not think that link is going somewhere. It says, sorry, the page you're looking for doesn't exist.
Okay. Let me,
Does anyone else see that? Anyway, so you can figure that out.
Okay.
So what I did here is I actually didn't even, I just eyeballed it, like, while he was talking, I just dragged in these perks. It's here. I think it sounds pretty good, but I'm actually going to change out this clap to more of a nice snare. So it's kind of interesting. I guess another thing that reason I use speakers instead of headphones most of the time is because I actually wear glasses normally. And it's actually sometimes hard to read these words when I have my glasses off, because you can't really wear glasses underneath these headphones. There you go. And just like that, I'm going to add a reverb bus to that.
Okay,
yeah, that's just a classic Dropbox.
That link should work. Sorry. I think I moved it is why it wasn't working. I moved it to another Dropbox or something. So.
Okay. And so what I did there was I just added some reverb to that clap. I changed the clap with a snare, added some reverb to it, leveled the perks a little bit more. That was one thing that another thing with having buses for your tracks, like just have a reverb bus and a delay bus and stuff like that, is that it gets me into the zone of like, I can literally have the playhead just playing the entire time, and I can make the entire drum groove in general, all without having to drag in plugins or doing anything crazy like that. It just like streamlines everything. Because like when you want to add a reverb, you just push the plus sign here. You just push the plus sign here, select your reverb bus you have here, and then just change the gain of the reverb. And it's just that simple. you can just like go right into it, and you don't have to slow down for anything at all. I'm gonna add a Vox in. I'm thinking there are quite a few like default, like, hey, might have heard some of these. But I'm gonna use something more. Can't read it, but here it is. Dirty crowd. I wouldn't be surprised if you've. I'm sure everyone has heard of this sound up there. There you go. That's it. Okay, sounds nice. For the sake of the stream, I'm actually going to. Oh, here's a quick pro tip. If you hit F on your keyboard, you can actually stretch all of the tracks out so they look nicer on your screen. Like let's say your beat looks like this, and you don't want to scroll up and down all the time. You can just hit F on your keyboard, and it stretches everything out to look nice. That's actually like a huge time saver. It just makes everything so much easier.
I love that button.
Yeah, and you also, if you shift F, you can stretch it out horizontally, and Control F makes it so you can see the MIDI better or the audio better. I'm not sure if you use those ones, but okay. So let's see. What'd you say?
I was getting ready to say. So I've noticed like you've got a ton of stuff going on here, but it still sounds like it's balanced pretty well. And just one thing I wanted to inject. For those of you, and I heard you say it on your stream the other day too, which is so true. For those of you that are using predominantly MIDI instruments, because they're predominantly built from samples that were recorded in professional studios, a lot of times you don't even have to EQ these things. So because they just intrinsically by nature, they sound amazing already. Now, when you start adding a lot of elements, that's where your production comes in handy. You can actually use your production as your EQ. Like your elements, like by panning and things like that. So
yeah, like since you mentioned that, like even like I always pan my perks a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Just I like the stereo feel of that, and also it just cleans everything up just a tiny bit. Just makes it feel more alive. Like that's just it's just a very subtle effect, but really it's an effect. Even your panning's effect. So use it like an effect. Use it however you feel like it. Let's see. Also, if you're not using like keyboard shortcuts, you can actually like make your own keyboard shortcuts in the customization tab in the preferences. I linked if you right click on your tracks and hit bounce to clips, I linked that to Control J. And what it does is it basically just sets up, if you have like individual MIDI tracks, like MIDI clips, it just joins them all together. So as you can see, like all of those like individual Hyatt step sequencer things, I joined them all into one. So now it's all one track of MIDI, and it still has all the same detail, all the same velocity and stuff like that. But now I can actually just copy this one track over, and it all goes together and stuff like that. That's just handy.
Awesome, guys. He's not holding back.
No, the sauce is coming out today, boys. Do I freeze tracks? Actually, so yeah, he mentioned my stream on Saturday. I always do streams on Saturday, and when I'm doing live streams, yeah, I have to freeze everything. Typically, I don't have to freeze anything. Like I was making a beat yesterday, and I just sat there for an hour and a half, and I added like 6 or 7 MIDI tracks of melodies, and then I had tons of drums too, and I didn't have to freeze anything. It was going just fine. For this live stream, I actually might freeze at least one thing here, because I can just every once in a while hear a clicking sound that it's just annoying for live streams. It's not bad in my opinion. I don't really mind it, but it's for the best of the viewers and stuff like that. I'll freeze some stuff just to keep things sounding clean.
Yeah, one thing about that, for those of you who are using Cakewalk, remember too, though, that if you do freeze a track, any changes that you make to that track while it's in its frozen state will not carry back over when you unfreeze it. So make sure that you are aware of that, because sometimes you can make a ton of changes, get it sounding great. You go back to unfreeze it and everything falls apart. So you got to make sure that if you like it in its frozen state, just go ahead and send that individual track out as a track by itself. Just sort of, you know, mix it out, so to speak, and then bring it back in that state if you want to keep those changes.
Yeah, what I do in that sense is that, like, for example, if I freeze this track here, it just has the audio file here. What I can actually do is you can control drag this to an empty area, and it just plays it as an audio file. So then you can't, you're definitely not going to undo any changes here because you don't even have the MIDI available anymore, except for up here, obviously. But oftentimes I'll do this simply because, like, if you want to, let's say you do a whole bunch of changes with like cutting things up and like that. Like, let's do it up here, for example. So I cut this entire little thing out for really no reason at all. I don't know why I would do this, but and then I want to like join it together so it's all in one clip. If you hit Control J, which is my shortcut, it doesn't do anything. If you select it all, if you right click and do bounce to clips, it doesn't do anything. But if you have it down in an audio file, then you can actually join those together. And there's still like that gap in the middle, but it's all one clip now. So I guess I'll have to undo all that, but I can actually just unfreeze. So as you can see, like, I just did changes and I unfroze it and it's back to normal, like you were saying. But yeah.
So I just posted a link in the chat real quick, guys, to a video that I did not too long ago that's all about CPU saving tips when using Cakewalk. Some best foot forward, like, quick tips to keep you from maxing out your CPU. So you might go and check that out after this is done.
Yeah. I never really have my CPU crazy during normal beat making, but when I'm doing a live stream, or sometimes if I'm recording video, actually, because I don't know if you can tell at all. You probably can't, but my camera setup is actually very, very jank. What I actually have is I have my camera running into my computer, which is sending the file, the live screen, to an external monitor, which is actually not an external monitor. It's actually a little tablet that I Wi-Fi connected to my computer. So there's actually like probably about 30% of my CPU's usage is only on getting my camera to work, which is definitely not the best way. And I want to buy an actual camera soon. It's just that this one that I'm using is very, very trash. So yeah. Okay, so that's what most of my CPU usage goes to in general. But anyway, so let's see. Should I add some melodies to this? Let's see. I think we can just keep the melody simple how it is. I'm gonna add some hi-hat rolls. Let's see, like, who was it? Camille was saying earlier. What you can do is actually click on one of these hi-hats, especially the first one that has the velocity up. And after you click on that one hi-hat, then any hi-hats you add in new are always going to be that size and they're the same velocity and stuff like that. That just saves a little bit of time because, like, for example, if I go to this 808 track and I click on one of these 808s and then go back to the hi-hat track, you don't want to mess around with hi-hats that are this long. It's just a hassle. So let's just use this size. That's pretty simple. The first thing I do with my hi-hats is I always add just like random little dots every once in a while. It's almost like using your hi-hat as a percussion, actually. So I'm not sure if you do this, but in my YouTube channel, I literally reply to every single comment that ever comes through. So and especially like since we're like relatively small channels, like that just kind of makes sense. I had a lot of people ask recently, like, what is a perk? A perk, and I'm like, I thought that just kind of like made sense, but it's a percussion instrument. Usually like a snare or a rim shot or a side stick, triangle, anything like that. Oh, it's my camera. My camera just turned off. Sorry. I guess now you'll kind of see what my setup is. Shoot, my camera died. Legit died.
Well, I can still see your screen, so that's...
Would you like me just to do the screen?
Yeah, that's fine if that's...
Okay.
Move that off to there you go.
Oh, I guess we just stick to the screen I guess we started around, this is about 2 hours. Yeah, I died about exactly 2 hours.
Yeah, you were right on it, weren't you?
I think I said 2.5 hours because one time I recorded like a 2.5 hour video. And usually it doesn't take me 2.5 hours to make a beat, but I just wanted to, I was trying to do something and anyway. So then what I'll usually do is I'll go into this top right section where you can change the quantization of things. I'll right click on this and I'll choose a faster quantization, like let's say 122nd note, 28th note. And that's like really fast. And then here's something that some people like actually like don't like. For some reason they don't think that it's like sounds good or is too like jank to use. Personally, like I've been using it since day one and I absolutely love it. Whoa. And what basically it is, it's the draw tool. So if you hit T on your keyboard, it opens up your tool section. And the second to last one is called the draw tool. And then basically you don't have to hold Alt or anything like that. You can just click and it goes.
Wow.
Let's see, I can just do whatever you want to do. So since this is a pretty fast quantization, like if I was doing a quarter note or something like that, it would only draw that fast. But if I was doing 20 that fast, it would go really fast. So then what I do is I just listen, and I listen to where I think a roll should be. Like I can inject a little bit, and you want it to kind of fit with your melody, fit with like the style. I'll kind of try to explain. That's where I put it, like no. I don't. It's hard to explain, but you just get the kind of the feeling. And then if I just open up this little bottom section, I'll do a roll. I'll do some velocity, just like who was it? Who said that? Camille said that. Now I'll do a ta-ta. This. I'll do some high velocity on this too. And actually, just in general, I'm going to turn that one down. So you can actually just select what you're using. Not sure if I'll be able to do this. I'll just do it down here. I'll just do these. Usually you can like click on a note and then like pull it down to do velocity. I'm sure you know that, but
yeah, and I used that draw tool a lot too that you just used. It was crazy though. I was actually looking at the other screen trying to check out comments when you made that noise. I about pooped my pants. I was like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah, I think I heard you say whoa.
Oh. Be easy on this old man.
Actually, there's other things too. Like if you're like, there are some weird things you can do to make lots of weird sounds using the draw tool. Like, is depending on how fast you do it. Now I hear like a triplet kind of sound, and I don't do triplets all the time. But let's get like a eighth note triplet out. Go in there, and let's turn that velocity up. And you can just see how that kind of just adds a whole new rhythm to it. In general. I'm gonna do a fourth note, quarter note triplet. It's too loud. Okay, and yeah, so I'd say this is probably about it for like the beat section of it, like the individual loop. But then I'd have to arrange it and all that kind of stuff. Do you think I should arrange it? or do you think that that's going to be too like laborious or something like that for a live stream like this? Because like if I'm doing a beat making live stream on my channel, like we'll go for like 4 or 5 hours. Like we're just going to do it all. But what do you think about that?
Well, guys,
this is the absolute fundamentals of it.
Right.
And then you can just arrange this however you feel fit.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just stick with the fundamentals for now, because I think that would actually be a cool way too to showcase, like what you're saying, what you can do after the fact with arrangement. Maybe we could do, or rather you could do on your channel or vice versa, like a follow-up video to this beat. So guys, we should name this beat something where they can find it too. Make it searchable or something. I don't know.
Well, on my YouTube channel, I have a tradition of naming the beats after the most recent comment. So
nice. I like that.
So how can we incorporate save Ryan, nice one, Robert? How can we incorporate that somewhere there?
Okay. How about the Zave nice beat?
Save nice beat. Got it. So here's a quick pro tip. You can hit Control S obviously to save a beat. What I actually did was in my preferences, I remapped the end key to actually be Control S, which is super effective, like super helpful because I'll save this on my desktop. Because before you do that, if you hit end, it automatically like scrolls your screen down for some reason, and I don't know why it does that, but hitting the end key, I use the end key as Control S, and it actually saves a lot of time. 100%. Okay then. So yeah, there are quite a few videos about this now, but if you can Alt Shift I, it opens up the arranger view. And I heard Home Studio has a Home Studio Simplified. You have a video about how to use the arrangement feature. I have a video about it. Like there's quite a few videos about it nowadays, but I'd recommend using that for your arrangement. Yeah. I guess another pro tip is that if you select your entire track by, let's say, hitting Control A, if your beat is exactly 4 bars, like to the exact thing, you can actually hit Control D on your keyboard, and it will duplicate it over. So then, like, you can see like it's exactly the same length. So if you hit Control D over and over, you can just copy it over, way over, and then all of a sudden, now we have like 1 minute and 8 seconds of just the exact same thing over and over. And obviously, you're going to change that. You're not going to have the same thing over, but that's a quick way. And before, it's almost obsolete since the arrangement tool, but that's what I was using before, and it just saves lots of time than trying to copy and drag over. Okay.
Awesome little tip there, by the way. For those of you who are using loop-based music, that will save you a ton of time. I think that same tip was presented by Adamental too when he was on, because he does a lot of this loop-based style music too. So yeah, guys, keep following this Zave Nice beat, and on both of our channels, we're going to kind of be doing follow-ups and staying connected with one another as well, to try to get this beat to where it needs to be. And then that way you guys can kind of see where this thing goes. Because honestly, I mean, this could be like at the top of Rapzilla before you know it. I mean,
this beat is the most simple beat I made all week.
It sounds really good though. And you know, sometimes that old, what is that acronym, KISS? That really plays in effect too sometimes, because I've had songs where I've been banging my head against the wall trying to get all these crazy diminished chords in there, and then I remember, you know, just keep it simple, and then you go back to the simplicity, and you're like, why is this? It just works. I mean, some of the coolest songs that I've ever even listened to were some of the simplest ones, where it's maybe just a piano and a vocal, or just a guitar and a vocal, and you get that like intimate involvement with the song. So, but yeah, guys, keep an eye on this, and I'm not gonna continue with this, just for the simple fact that I actually have some things here around the house to do, and I got to take my son outside to play because he's going stir crazy. But thanks, Tim. I was trying to keep the stupid word out of there. I was trying to keep that stupid word out of there, but that's fine. Whatever.
Keep it super simple.
There we go. Keep it super simple. I like that. So guys, keep an eye on my channel. Keep an eye on his channel. I've got a link in the description. We'll also be having links following up to this video to go and check this beat out for yourself so that you can download it, play around with it, rap over top of it. We might even develop an entire contest around this where someone could submit rap songs that they've put over top of this beat. I don't know where this is going, but it could really go places. So definitely appreciate everyone's involvement on the stream. I apologize for Bongonzo's camera dying, but that was of no fault of his. It was just technology. So, but if you, do you have anything else that you would like to add, Bongonzo, before we sign off, or?
Basically in general, this is what I do every single day. This is what I do in like real life. I just make beats all day long, but especially on my channel. We just hit 2,200 subscribers, which is actually phenomenal because last week at this time we just hit 2,000. So we're about 200 subscribers a week, which is insane in my opinion. It's hard to fathom, but yeah, I just do this every single video. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or when I upload my videos. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. So if you're into beat making, I definitely suggest that you go and check his channel out. Another thing that I would make mention of, at least from what I understand, I've watched several of his videos, but your channel is a clean channel too as well, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
So just like my channel, these are clean channels. So if you have children and they're playing in the background, they're not going to hear obscenities. You can actually follow along with it without having to worry about what they're going to see or hear. I love that about channels like that don't promote that kind of junk. So go and follow him, subscribe, click his bell so that whenever he uploads a new video, you'll be the first to know. And if this is your first time here, do the same here. Show some love. You know, subscribing is one of the best symbols of showing love on YouTube. So show some love. And you know what? Before we go real quick, let's go ahead and spin the Wheel of Awesomeness again.
Yes.
Why? Because we love the theme music, right? All right, so here we go. One last time before we see you guys off. More trivia. Okay, so real quickly, before we go, this next trivia is going to be based on which is the most successful rap producer as of right now of all time. The most successful rap producer of all time.
Is it possibly Metro Boomin?
As of right now, that is incorrect. This was actually not a shock to me because it was the first person I thought of too. But when I seen the answer, I was like, I bet it's gonna be hard for individuals to get this one. So, Bongonzo, enjoy online school. Stay safe with COVID. Yep. All right.
Nick Mira.
Quincy Jones. Nice. That's a good answer.
Are you actually this is a question to you specifically, I guess. Are you familiar with Nick Mira?
I am not.
So he's kind of a part of like there's definitely like a younger wave going into hip hop in general. And Nick Mira is about 19 years old or so. And wow. I mean like he's doing crazy stuff. Like he has several platinums. Worked with many of the biggest names right now, but yeah.
Okay, so we got Quincy Jones, Nick Mira, I Don't Know, and MC Hammer. I Don't Know is definitely not on that list, but if you were to ask me this before I had Google, I would have said I don't know either. But my first inclination was, and I was actually right this time, I can't believe it. My first inclination was correct, and the answer is Dr. Dre.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah.
And he's produced a lot of people, but I think the thing that Dr. Dre has done that a lot of people have not done is he has reached out to quote unquote no-name artists and sort of mentored them, picked them up. I mean, look at Eminem. He would be nobody without Dr. Dre. So because he invested in other people, which is what I try to do and what Bongonzo tries to do on his channel, when you invest in other people, you know, great things happen. The more that you give, honestly, the more that you get in return. It's the law of sowing and reaping. I mean, it's been as old as time itself.
Yep.
So awesome, guys. Thank you all so much for stopping on the stream today. Just real quick too, before we leave, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to Marcity 101, who donated $5 in today's super chat. Thank you so much. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of these names, but thank you all for subscribing, by the way, and for becoming a subscriber, for taking stock in my channel. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do it. You just chose to do it. That's awesome. Once again, thank you too for stopping by today and being so involved. That's awesome too. I love the involvement that you guys gave. So before we go, one more time, I'm going to give you the creed. This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. Dream, create, and together we all can achieve. So
I can back that.
We're gonna close this out with some sound effects from Bongonzo. I'm putting him on the spot. Come on, there we go.
I don't know what to do. Bum 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 ba-da-dum, bum ba-da-da-dum, bum 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 ba-da-da-da-dum.
All right, guys. Much love to you all. Thank you for showing your support. Thank you, Tim, for going and subscribing to Bongonzo. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. Everyone else should follow suit. Love you all. And also, during this time of crisis right now, we're going through the COVID-19. I want to let you know, I always try to close the stream by letting you guys know too, that when you become a part of my life through these streams or anything like that, I personally pray for you. I don't know what your religious perspective is or how you feel about things, but I personally know in my life, prayer has been a huge factor in helping me get to where I'm at today. In fact, I wouldn't even be alive if it was not for prayer today. And so to all of you out there that are battling, maybe you have sicknesses yourself or those in the family, just letting you guys know that I am praying for you for what it's worth. I love each and every one of you. So thanks for stopping by the channel today.